we've identified these mobile moments that we have to deliver against, and that raises the next question, which is, when we're trying to ensure the quality of the mobile application experience, what are the key things that we have to consider? What are the complexities of delivering against that? What is important to monitor? What do we need to measure in order to make sure that when we have that opportunity to engage with the customer, that we're delivering against a quality experience for them?
So it's not all that different than the traditional web application, enterprise application. You have to ensure that when the user wants to use the app, that it will work. So you need some level of proactive testing of the application and the third-party components the application relies on. But more importantly, you have to understand the actual end user, the actual data of their interaction with the application. So it's the things that they're touching and using in the application, the latency, the measurement, the metrics coming from the network side and the device side. And it's really, having that availability and performance view of the application and associated services. And it is very complicated because of all the different components that mobile apps touch. Yeah. They use a lot of cloud services, a lot of third parties, and that makes them particularly difficult to assure.
Yeah, Jonah, since I come from the mobile world, I have some metrics to go along with some of the things that you just mentioned. On average, a mobile app will interface to 6 to 10 APIs or cloud services. They could be internal services like your CRM API or your Salesforce API. It could be third-party services like, for example, a Facebook social API or a Google Mail API or a PayPal payment API. Right? And these mobile apps typically interface to these APIs through a wide variety of networks, right? Could be Wi-Fi, 3G, 4G, you name it. And depending on the geo where you live in, these networks works in different ways. They have different latencies. They have they have different types of coverages and services. And then finally, when you think about the client end, right, where your mobile app actually runs, you got your OS complexity. In the Apple world, we think that there is, there's pretty much iOS 8 and nothing else. But if you look at even the distribution of OS, there are a fair number of iOS 7 users today. And then let's not forget the device complexity. There are about 500 devices in the Android world today. It's a very fragmented world with lots of devices, lots of RAM, lots of form factors. So when you sort of add it all up, there are about 1 million permutations and 1 million factors that a mobile app vendor needs to think about if they have to ensure high quality and high performance of their mobile app itself.
It definitely is very, very complex. Not just the OS, but the customer, your user's got the choice. You may have your latest mobile app kind of version, but they may choose to use an earlier version. Mm-hmm. There's no kind of pressure on them to really upgrade. If they're getting great experience from an earlier kind of version, they're going to keep on that version. And so, mobile is, from a performance management point of view, definitely complex. And this is why, from kind of my research in the past, a good mobile APM product is just absolutely essential. You need to be able to track those transactions as they go across these tiers, understand and pinpoint these performance problems. And ultimately, the other bit of complexity here is that just because you've got a mobile app, you may assume that your customer is going to just use this kind of mobile app all the time. That may not be true. They may go onto the mobile app for certain kind of features, certain elements, certain information which they want, but they may also go back to your web app. And so, I know we talked about this earlier, Jonah. It's exactly what you were saying. Yeah. It's about understanding all of these channels. You can't just get obsessed with mobile. It's understanding mobile in relation to the other channels, web app.
But there's also a lot of organizational issues because sometimes mobile is developed on a different team than the other applications. So there's still a lot of things happening organizationally to bring these mobile teams together with operations and development of the other platforms, whether it's a traditional enterprise app or a web app. And that will happen over time, but strategically the company has to eventually start thinking about these things together and not, this is our mobile experience and our mobile user, and this is our web app and our web user. It's about the single user, not about the delivery channel.
You brought up a great issue of organization. The other interesting trend that we see in the mobile world is the fast time to market and the iteration that goes in the mobile world.
DevOps.
Right, exactly. So, the fact that, you have to push out an app, every 2 weeks, like Facebook, right? Essentially, it means that you have no time beyond developing that app to actually test that app, to ensure quality in the app. So more often than not, what tends to happen is people develop apps, they do some basic testing, functional testing, some basic performance testing, and then they throw it over the wall, and then it's users who are actually ensuring quality of the app. Users who are actually, interacting with the app and identifying issues with the app. So to have an agile environment where you can quickly identify these issues, you can bring it back to the right folks within the development team, fix those issues, and keep cutting out new releases that address these issues that you see in the field is extremely important. And that's why mobile APM is such an important discipline today, and that's why mobile enterprises have to adopt technologies like these.
So it's really, if I understand, it's about collaboration and making it possible for everybody who's involved in delivering the experience to the user to be able to see, the appropriate data, share that in a way that then they can constructively work together, regardless of where the problem is, whether it's on some, call to a database on the back end, or it's some, piece of, network infrastructure. The user doesn't care, right? All they see is that there's a spinner and I'm impatient, I'm going to my competitor's application, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is about that end-to-end kind of monitoring. So it's all the way from the end user kind of experience through to the application kind of servers, through to the kind of back-end kind of databases, or the back-end, maybe even the kind of mainframe in certain circumstances. That's what becomes kind of important first and foremost. And you also have to remember, if you're looking at a mobile APM product, then mobile generates a lot of data. And so, things like aggregation, kind of sampling, things like the back-end data store. Your data store has to be economical in storing data. And so that's kind of one tip I'll definitely kind of give to everyone is make sure that the back-end data store of any mobile APM solution can store this data economically.